Hundreds of thousands of voters have been struck from the voter rolls, and they have no idea. There's no question that this attack on the voter rolls is affecting voters of color and young people. Asian Americans, African Americans, Hispanic voters are being removed by the hundreds of thousands from the voter rolls of America. And this could absolutely change the outcome of the election. My name is Greg Palast. I've been investigating the illegal purge of voters. Voter purge means removing voters from the voter rolls, canceling their right to vote. In the U.S., you have to register to vote. They cancel your registration, you're not voting. There's a good reason to remove voters from the voter rolls. You're dead. You've left your state or your city. You've been imprisoned for a felony crime. Okay, our problem is that our investigation found in just Georgia alone that nearly 200,000 voters were wrongly tagged as having moved from their home, dying, or being imprisoned. Their only crime, frankly, is voting while black. I was at a polling station in Atlanta where one black person after another said, I went in to vote and they said I couldn't vote anymore, including Martin Luther King's 92-year-old cousin. And what Georgia's done is say, these people have moved. They said that they got this information from our post office, which keeps track of who moves. But the Palast Investigative Fund, we talked to the post office. We hired their official licensees who said, we don't know where Georgia got this list. These people have not moved. So what they say is if Lydia Gonzalez registered with a middle name and she has a piece of ID that only has her middle initial, Lydia Gonzalez is going to lose her vote in Georgia. Not every state has this. Only states that are afraid, frankly, of voters of color who have fewer pieces of ID, official ID in America. Now, there's another game that they use. The state of Georgia and other states have used a system called interstate cross-check. They'll find thousands of people with your name, and they'll say, well, you've already registered in another state. There's a new gimmick being used by the Republican Party to remove voters of color. It's called use it or lose it. That is, you don't vote for one or two federal elections, and they send you a postcard saying, have you moved? Now, look, you can't lose your vote in America because you decide not to vote. We have the right to vote or not to vote. Well, if you're a student and you've moved your dorm room, you're a renter and you've moved to a new apartment, you don't get your card, you lose your vote. That's un-American. It began with a June 2018 decision of the Supreme Court, and this purge method, removing voters you don't like, was taken for a test drive in Georgia. In November 2018, when Brian Kemp, the Republican, beat Stacey Abrams, a Democrat, the first African-American woman to ever run for governor of any United States state. The excuse for all this removal of voters is to stop fraudulent voters. You're removing literally hundreds of thousands of voters in a single state to prevent voter fraud. I'm not for voter fraud, people voting twice or dead people voting, but that doesn't happen. I actually calculated from the official U.S. statistics that the chance of your getting hit and killed by a lightning strike is 500% more likely than that you will commit voter fraud. Americans don't cast fraudulent ballots because you go to jail for 5 years. The purge of the voter rolls has been conducted mostly by voting officials who are Republicans. Because if you remove voters of color and young people, you're going to remove Democratic votes. Now, Democrats play these games too, but in general elections, it's the Republicans who are removing and blocking the votes of hundreds of thousands of voters of color and young people in several states, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Arizona, and other states. What we mean by vote suppression is that someone's taken away your constitutional right to vote in America. It means that they've removed you from the voter rolls or otherwise blocked you from voting. Voter purging ain't just the only method that's used. Using voter ID laws, which block people from voting who are American citizens who otherwise have the right to vote. If you're an American voter, please check your registration right now. But there's also a policy prescription. My God, why don't we just agree that every American citizen has the right to vote and step out of the way? No more purges of voter rolls. Let Martin Luther King's cousin vote. Let Jasmine Bakhtiar, who's an American citizen immigrant, let her vote. Let Ashley Jones, a Latina who was turned away from the polls in Georgia, let her vote. These are American citizens. I don't care who you vote for, but I do want every American to have the right to vote. That's our right. That's our democracy.